Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update. Eco Money on Money FM 89.3.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Money FM 89.3. Now it's time for Eco Money, where we bring you the latest in sustainability and finance. And finance and plastics, two words that you don't often hear together, unless perhaps you're talking about a credit card. But as we see greater conversations surrounding plastics circularity, finance institutions are sitting up and taking notice. So where do we stand? Let's take a look at some of the numbers. Up to 120 billion US dollars of value is lost to the economy in the form of plastic waste. We're talking about millions of tons of plastic in landfill being incinerated or leaking into the environment. That's the economic loss. And we're all familiar with the environmental cost as well, particularly when it comes to marine life. Now, Lombard Odier says that finance has a central role to play in making the industry sustainable. To find out more, we're joined now by Dr. Thomas Hohne-Sparborth, who's the head of sustainability research at Lombard Odier Group. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Very good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you with us. So let's start off, and perhaps you can share with us, why is the finance sector interested in plastics? It doesn't seem to many like a natural fit.
Well, I think it should be. Look, clearly the plastics crisis is an environmental crisis of unprecedented proportion. That is all clear for everyone to see. The amount of annual plastic waste is equivalent to the weight of 2.5 million blue whales, just to give you one example of that. But it's also very much an economic problem. You mentioned already the losses of value, just in terms of the value of plastic waste that we don't recycle every year. The actual societal cost is much larger. But the way to solve these issues is, of course, through investment, by investing in better materials, in better usage models, in better recycling technologies. And there, finance does have to play a role to mobilize that capital and deploy it in the right ways.
And just tipping on to what you've said about investment, the Alliance to End Plastic Waste and Lombard Odier Investment Managers have joined forces to launch a circular plastic fund. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever you invest in these kind of opportunities, you need the right skill sets and competencies. On the one hand, we can bring the financial expertise, understanding where or what stage it may be the right place to deploy our capital, but to really identify what solutions, what technologies are the most appropriate, the most scalable for the future. We also need technical partners, and that is where the AEPW can come in to help us vet and verify and validate the right opportunities that can truly be scalable.
And that's key, isn't it, when you say vet and validate, because greenwashing's been an issue, and I guess we've seen blue washing, but perhaps also plastic washing when it comes to this particular area. So they're helping essentially when it comes to due diligence to ensuring that you're investing in the right, or this fund is investing in the right kind of companies and products.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you need to look at these aspects from a number of different aspects. Firstly, you want to ensure investments are financially sound, of course, as well. Then you need to make sure they're technologically sound, which is really where the AEPW can help us as well.
Right.
But finally, this is also very much intended to drive that positive impact in terms of actual meaningful plastic waste reductions. And there, what you need to develop is the right frameworks to understand what technologies or solutions are actually needed. How do we actually measure that kind of impact and over what kind of time frames using what kind of metrics?
So what kind of opportunities are there? Perhaps you can give us some examples of plastic investment or your circular plastic fund. What kind of companies are you looking at?
Of course. I think the most important thing to understand is that this is a problem that involves the entire value chain. Most of the plastics today are actually produced using fossil fuels. Nearly half of all plastic used is today used in single-use items. And then of all the plastic that gets wasted, only a very small portion of that is recycled.
10%,
Those are all
right?
problems. Yes, it's a very low portion today. So really what we need to address is the problems in each of these parts of the value chain, moving to better materials, rethinking the kind of plastics we use, but also rethinking usage models. How do we think about packaging? How do we think and move from single-use to multi-use packaging, for instance? But also then very much on the downstream side, how do we actually start increasing that portion that is recycled? And some of that starts with better designing these products in the first place, but also very much investing in some of the right technologies that can actually allow us to start recycling more of these materials at a more economic price as well. And that is key. We need to change the economics of the system to scale this up to the extent we need.
So you've spoken about why this is an attractive theme. Perhaps you can share with us, because often when we speak on Eco Money about sustainability and investment, a question that we get is, can you really couple profits with purpose? What kind of returns could an investor get from investing in solving the plastic waste issue?
I think it's essential, actually, that we couple impact and because one role that there is to be played is by philanthropic capital, deploying capital in solutions that are perhaps smaller scale, purely focused on generating as much bang for your buck as you can get. And that plays a very important role in, for instance, cleaning up plastic waste. But what's also important is acknowledging the scale of this challenge. And to do that, the estimate is that we need around $1.2 trillion of investment over the next 2 decades in this plastic system. And the way to attract that scale of capital is to actually invest in those solutions that are economically scalable and that can generate that return. So very much we believe that by targeting opportunities that can actually generate that return, that is how we can actually achieve that scalable impact by attracting also mainstream investors to some of these opportunities. And yes, we do believe that in these earlier stage opportunities, new technologies, new solutions, that there is growing market demand from this, coming from consumers, growing also very much from downstream businesses to drive that change and try to begin utilizing some of these new opportunities that we are seeing emerge.
We're speaking with Dr. Thomas Hohne-Sparborth, who's the head of sustainability research at Lombard Odier Group. Now, I want to go back to another announcement that your firm has made, and that is a partnership with E4S. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. E4S stands for Enterprise for Society, and perhaps the description is a little bit in the name, trying to couple the world of business to also the environmental and societal impact of our economy today. And really why we as an investor are interested in working with some of these academic initiatives is to actually help us better understand the nature, the shape, and the pace of some of these transitions. Today, in the area of climate change, it's better understood what changes we need in the economy, how different sectors might transform. When it comes to the circular economy, including the issue of plastic waste, there's still a lack of understanding, we believe, as to the specific technologies, the specific changes that we need in individual industries to actually get from where we are today to that zero waste economy where we need to get to. And that is very much going to be the focus of our efforts together with E4S.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Dr. Thomas Hohne-Sparborth, who's the head of sustainability research at Lombard Odier Group, about investing in tackling plastic waste. You are listening to Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at moneyfm893.sg or download our audio app. That's AWEDIO. Available on Google Play or the App Store.